I was at a park yesterday with my friend and her family. We were supposedly jogging around the park, but my friend and I were more into people watching. I didn't have the chance to use the restroom early in the morning, so I told my friend I was going to use the restroom. The female restrooms had 3 stalls. 2 weren't occupied. I chose the first one. As soon as my pants were around my knees, I heard shuffling from the last stall. I couldn't see the person, but I saw her feet. Big, clunky boots with very dirty khaki pants. She stopped in front of my door and faced my stall door. She started looking through the slit between the stall door and the wall. All I could make out was a beard, brown eyes, and a sour, almost rotten stench. It was a man. He started trying to open my stall, staring between the small opening, making eye contact with me. I didn't know what to do. My pants were still around my ankles. I was scared stiff. I forgot to call for help. I think I sat down on the toilet for a good minute just staring at him. I heard a voice say to him, "What are you doing in the women's bathroom?" He stopped. He didn't even try to make a run for it. He slowly walked out of the restroom. I quickly pulled my pants up and bolted out the door. I ended up going straight to my friend's mom and told her about the creepy man in the bathroom. We called the cops and described him, although it was hard because I could only see him through a small slit. They said they had a report of a man trying to open stall doors in the restrooms and just staring at the woman pee. We honestly couldn't find him yesterday since he disappeared. However, the cops said they knew it was a homeless man. They said they'll try their best to find him. Honestly, I'm so grossed out by what happened. I feel violated. I don't want to meet this person again. I am never using a public restroom again. Before I get into the story, I'm a young adult female who is diagnosed with psychotic depression and anxiety disorder. I had a rocky childhood, and my high school years were spent doing everything to escape my home. I volunteer at a homeless shelter every other weekend when I can. The small town I live in provides very little for the homeless population, and I feel like if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have anything to provide for society. It feels sort of selfish, really, but I've never considered myself a good person. Some of the folks there are extremely polite and easy to talk to, charming even. I've made few friends with a handful of the people that go there, watch them get back on their feet. But there is always that crowd, the druggies, the crazies, the ones who've lived in the woods for too long, the wayward ramblings, and the eyes that settle right in the uncanny valley. I make it my personal mission to avoid these people at all costs. It was a Saturday night in August, somewhere around 8 o'clock. Usually, the homeless center closes up at around 6, but during the summer it stays open to accommodate for the volunteers still in school. I was helping 2 fellow volunteers, one guy my age, and a girl in her senior year of high school, cleaning up in the kitchen. I have this anxiety about going to the bathroom in public places. Not over cleanliness or anything, it's just one of my weird triggers. Having said that, I hadn't used a restroom since I left my apartment at 10 in the morning, so you could guess my urgency. Despite my anxiety, I excused myself and made a beeline for the ladies' room. Now, a bit of explanation. The center is one building, split up into separate rooms. To get to the bathroom, you had to walk out of the kitchen, a small room tucked away in a bigger room, and through the door of that room into a hallway. The hallway was full of doors into other rooms, and we like to call it the hub. Then, you had to walk down the hub to the very end. The ladies' was the last door on the right, and the men's was the last door on the left. You open the door to the ladies, and you're met with a long hallway. Directly at the end of the hallway was 3 dingy sinks, 2 soap dispensers between them, and a mirror above each one. Directly beside those, there were 4 bathroom stalls, the very last one on the left side being the biggest, meant for the disabled. So I did just that. The ladies' room was totally empty from what I could see, but I noticed something strange right off the bat. The lights were motion activated, so when you open the door, they flicker on. They were already on when I came in. Of course, this wasn't completely strange, all things considered. It was a public bathroom, of course. There's bound to be people using it. I scolded myself for my anxiety and began to walk toward the stalls. The largest one at the very end was closed and locked, and last I checked, me and the 2 other volunteers were the only ones here. By now, my anxiety was slowly turning into fear, so I crept for the stall farthest away from that one. The lock was busted. I moved on to the one beside it, and go figure, the lock was busted. The only one left was the one directly beside the occupied stall. I did not want, by any means, to use that goddamn stall, but fear be damned, my bladder was full and currently screaming at me to grow some lady balls and piss already. As quick as I could, I slid into the stall and went about my business. As soon as the flow began, I could have sworn I heard something. It was a very subtle, shifting noise, as in clothes ruffling. I finished peeing and made it for the toilet paper. By now, the feelings of discomfort had only tripled, and my only want was to get out of that fucking stall. I glanced up for only a moment, as if to check and see if someone was, peeking over the stall, then looked down, so as to stand up and pull up my pants. There was someone there, staring at me from the floor. It was one of the crazies that came into the homeless shelter. I recognized him because he always used to compliment my dyed purple hair. I let out a scream, kicking open the stall door and making a beeline for the exit, pulling up my pants as I went. And as weird as it sounds, I could have sworn I heard slurping behind me, like a dog drinking from a toilet bowl. I stopped volunteering at the shelter after that night. Fuck it! If I don't have any worthwhile contributions, I'm okay with that. So as long as I never have to see someone looking back at me while I'm using the bathroom ever again. Why I obsessively look up cubicle walls in the public restrooms. This happened back in 1994, when I was 13 and a high school freshman. The Philippines didn't follow the K-12 system, so you basically entered high school after 6th grade. It was in an all-Catholic school that had previously been used as a hospital during World War II. Construction was always going on somewhere on the school grounds, as the nuns seemed hellbent on shedding the gloomy Spanish and World War II look of the school to more wholesome concrete structures. As with any old school, ours had a reputation for housing ghosts and supernaturals of all shapes, sizes, and ages. A lot of the stories revolved around the creepy, dark, and dank bathrooms in the as-yet unrenovated high school building. I was a quiet kid, reflecting back on my childhood and lack of friends, probably also really weird, who needed to pee while everyone else was mucking around during homeroom period. I trooped off to the girls' toilet at the end of the hall to do my business. Since everyone had classes, the bathroom was empty and I had the whole place to myself. Just to tell you guys, the bathroom had a long line of about 6 cubicles. I was scared, naturally thinking about ghosts and dark, empty bathrooms, but the need to pee overcame any fears and I chose the second cubicle to do my business. Understand that when I say I was a quiet kid, that I not only barely talked, I also moved pretty silently. Apparently, I also peed really silently. While inside the cubicle, I saw a pair of feet, walking noiselessly down the length of the bathroom towards the other end. I knew it wasn't a student because the feet weren't shod in shiny black shoes that were part of our uniform. I immediately assumed it was a ghost and clammed up, but as I was not yet done, I couldn't hightail it out of there. I don't think whoever that was knew that there was someone else in the bathroom. As soon as I finished though, I raced out the bathroom as fast as I could, afraid to look behind me. I went back to my classroom a bit shaken, but didn't tell anyone what I'd seen. About 15 minutes later, we heard a commotion outside. One of my classmates had gone to the girls' toilet after minutes I did. While she was inside a cubicle, she felt like she was being watched and looked up. Staring down at her over the cubicle wall was a man. Unlike me, she was a fairly outspoken girl and screamed her ass off. The man had run off by the time people reached the bathroom, but it was widely assumed that he had been part of the construction crew working around the school grounds. I don't remember if he was ever caught. I'm assuming he was just your regular old pervert who got tickled at snooping around an all-girls Catholic school toilet. I hope that was the case. It creeps me out to this day to know how close I got to being that girl, and how things might have ended up differently if I'd been the one to discover him. I don't know if I'd had the courage or even presence of mind to scream and draw attention to myself if I'd happened to look up and see him staring down at me. And now, I still watch out for potential perverts looking over the cubicle walls whenever I go to public toilets. I've had my own share of lewd behavior from shady men, but this stood out to me as the creepiest experience for me. All those what ifs.